and welcome to our channel. Today we're taking a look at the books that we read in January.
It's our first What We've Been Reading of 2024, so let's get started.
Public service announcement. If you hear a lot of thumping in this video, that is the parochial vicar. He is just wild today, running all around, crashing into walls, diving under the couch, so please bear with us. We're starting today with this book, Guadalupe and the Flower World Prophecy by Joseph and Monique Gonzalez. This was our Sophia Institute Press Book of the Month book, our read-along book for January. It was so good, it was very interesting.
So in this book, the authors present the idea that God started preparing the people of the Americas for conversion to Christianity way before Our Lady of Guadalupe appeared to Juan Diego in 1531.
So we know that after Our Lady of Guadalupe first appeared, roughly 10 million Native Americans converted in a really short time span, like 1 to 2 years. People would come from all over the Americas looking for a priest, begging to be baptized. They would travel hundreds of miles, and sometimes they would camp out for days or even months, just waiting for a chance to be baptized.
They ended up radically changing their lives. So all of this begs the question of why. What was it about Our Lady's appearance that prompted this massive conversion?
So it turns out that for hundreds of years, the native peoples of the Americas have been passing down this beautiful song poem about a flower world paradise in the land of heaven with the God of far and near. And everyone wanted to go there. And they had this story about a hero who goes to the flower world and he tries to gather the beautiful flowers, but he can't because he is not worthy.
But then enter Juan Diego, who climbs Tepeyac Hill and he sees this beautiful world of flowers and the lady there. However, Juan Diego is able to gather the flowers. He is worthy because he's been baptized as a Christian.
So once the word gets out about this story, there is no stopping the flood of people who come seeking baptism because they recognize that as their key to entering the flower world. They want to be in paradise in heaven with the God of far and near for all eternity.
And the priests and the bishops recognized it as a miracle because they recognized the Blessed Mother on the tilma. But the native peoples recognized it as a miracle because Juan Diego was able to gather the flowers. And so people were coming from near and far to get baptized just from hearing about the story, not even from seeing the tilma itself.
So it's definitely a bit of a mind-blowing story. And of course, the book explains it all a lot better than we can do here. The authors have done a tremendous amount of research on this topic, and they present many, many details that support this idea.
But it can be a little bit hard to read at times, just a heads up. The authors use a lot of words and terms in the native Nahua language. I hope I'm saying that right. And they use them to make their points, which is great, but it can be a little overwhelming at times.
There are also a ton of footnotes in here in really small print that's a little bit hard on the eyes of we old folk. But overall, it's truly an amazing story, and it was definitely worth the time and energy that it took to read it. This is Our Lady of Guadalupe next level.
And it also does get bonus points for the beautiful cover and the beautiful artwork throughout.
My first book is called Letters to a Soul, written by Hubert van Zeller, who was a Benedictine monk. And in the book, he is writing as a fictitious monk named Dom, and he's writing letters to a young friend of his who is having a lot of struggles in life. So his young friend, who is just called X in the book, is struggling. He thinks he has a religious vocation, so he tries that out, and that doesn't work out. And so he goes back into the world, and then he meets a married woman, and he struggles with his attraction to her. And so he has a lot of ups and downs. And through it all, Dom is giving him really good sound advice through his letters. So I have to admit that when I first started reading the book, the letter writing style kind of threw me, and it took me a little bit to warm up to it. But once I got the hang of it, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. Dom is funny, he is real, he's insightful. He's very honest about his own struggles with depression, and he tells X how God gave him his religious vocation as a gift to give him order and structure in his life to help him live with his chronic depression. So I thought that that was very interesting. However, my favorite part of the book is when Dom talks about Lent. Lent is coming up here, so it's on my mind. But he says it's really a shame that we put such a negative focus on Lent by concentrating on what we're giving up. Because he says, any fool can be hungry. I don't know, that just made me laugh somehow. Any fool can be hungry. He said instead we should put a more positive spin on Lent. We should think about all the things that we can do during Lent. We can do more prayer, more Stations of the Cross, more adoration. So again, this book is just full of really great wisdom and advice, and I did really enjoy it. It's not very long of a book, so it's definitely worth a read.
So I'm going to be starting today with The Rebel Nun by T. Stratton Smith. So this one, I believe we found in Big Bin of Catholic Books number 10 back in December. This was one of the books that all of you picked for us to read for the Yola Boca Flood tradition, and I'm still working on it. I am honestly not very far into this book after about a month of reading, but so it goes. So this one follows our to-be rebel nun, Lisa, and right now I am reading about her childhood and her early young adulthood, her getting married and what her life was like. So it's been very interesting so far, but I kind of can't wait till the later parts of the story where we get involved in World War II, and I wish I had finished this book by now. I feel like it has been months of my saying to the camera, this is what I'm currently reading instead of books that I have finished. Hopefully you will see a whole vlog about our Yola Boca Flood books coming soon, and then you will get my full take on The Rebel Nun.
My second book today is Lessons from the School of Love by Peter and Deborah Herbeck. They came to speak at our church last winter and they were so good, so I knew right away that I wanted to read their book, which is about cultivating a Christ-centered marriage. And they are definitely qualified to speak on this subject because they have had a lot of ups and downs in their marriage. Deborah was a Catholic convert. She grew up in a Jewish family and she didn't really even know anything about Jesus until she went to college. So she tells a really funny story of sitting in the lounge of her college dorm her freshman year because everyone's gathered around the TV. They're going to watch this great mini series about Jesus of Nazareth. So she watches the whole first episode and then all of a sudden it hits her, hey, wait a minute, this guy is Jewish. So it's a really funny story. The book is full of really good practical advice. They're very honest about their ups and downs and their different struggles. And there's also a section in here about what you can do if you and your spouse are just not on the same page as far as religion goes. So that could be really helpful. So this is another book that's not really that long, but is just so good. And again, if you ever have the chance to hear either of them speak in person, definitely go for it. Deborah especially will just keep you laughing the whole time. I will try to find a video of her conversion story on YouTube and link it for you down below. Great book, great advice.
So my other book today is The Iron Door by Liz Galvano. This is another book that I'm currently reading, but I am much closer to the end of this book than I am to the end of the other one. So this is book 3 in the Casabella Chronicles, and we did review book 1, Messina, quite a little while back. I'll track down the video and I'll have it linked if you want to check that out and hear about book 1. But book 3 follows Ashley and Jessica. They are USO women in World War II. They're overseas in Italy when their plane gets shot down, and they are rescued by members of the Costello family. And so they're brought into their home, and eventually they are faced with the task of safely transporting 19 orphans to safety, and they have to choose whether or not to help and what they're going to do. Are they going to stick around? So the book has been very good so far. There is lots of action. It's, I think, a great representation of life in war-torn Italy. So there is a little bit of romance in this book, and then it's also just a really strong representation of very strong and beautiful Catholical faith. So hopefully I will get a chance to do a more in-depth video looking at the whole series sometime soon once I finish this book. The author has very kindly sent these to us, so I want to give some more attention to her work because I very much enjoy it, so stay tuned for that video.
My last book was a totally random but wonderful find from the library called Immortal, which is a book of antique photographs of people and their dogs and their stories by Anthony Cavo. So this book is so much fun. It's got all these amazing vintage pictures of people and their dogs. So you could definitely read the book just to enjoy the pictures. However, there are many amazing stories about dogs in here and lots of information about different breeds. For instance, I learned reading this book about the Mercy dogs in World War I. They would take food and supplies to soldiers in the trenches, and if a soldier was wounded and couldn't make it back to a medic, the dog would go and bring a medic to the soldier, and they also would stay with soldiers who were dying to comfort them. So that was a really cool story. Also, I learned, and I can't believe as a vet I never knew this, but a dog's nose print is totally unique, just like our fingerprint. A dog's nose print will never change throughout its whole life and can be used to identify a lost dog. So I think this would make a wonderful gift for that dog lover in your life, maybe for Valentine's Day. I certainly enjoyed it. It definitely made me want to start collecting vintage pictures of people and their pets, so I'll see where that goes. Anyway, this was definitely a 5-star read for me. It was so unexpected and so good.
Okay, so that is a look at what we've been reading in January.
If you have read this one, Guadalupe and the Flower World Prophecy, I would love to hear your thoughts about it, so leave us a comment down below.
So we hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.